Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 558. My opponent played e4, and I went with d5, the Scandinavian or center counter defense. So he took, which is the main move. Actually, White played the opening really well, so if you want to take some cues about how to play against the center counter, watch how White plays in this game. Anyway, I play knight f6, the second choice here. The main line is really queen d5, but I've been playing this knight f6 line. And doing reasonably well with it, really. So he plays d4, and that's the main move here. You can try and hold on to the pawn here, but it's not particularly good for White to do that. Black can undermine with c6, and if you take on c6, it's a gambit, but it's a good gambit for Black. So d4 here is really the main move, and then I grab the pawn on d5. And we get this kind of position. The advantage White has is two things: a little more space, and he'll gain a tempo on the knight. So he has an advantage in space and a lead in development. So he gets, I think, a bigger than usual opening advantage against the Scandinavian, which is probably why it's not so popular. But I think it's an interesting and different way to play, so I'm going to keep playing it. A little variety doesn't hurt. So he goes knight f3. And now there are two main moves here, bishop to g4, which is the one that I've been playing, and then also g6. So I wanted to experiment with this g6 plan. I've learned one thing already, which is if you play g6, it doesn't make sense to combine the plans and play bishop g4 as well, because the bishop sits out here on a light square, and this pawn is kind of blocking its natural retreats. So it finds itself a little short of squares out here. So you have to find a different home for the bishop if you're going to play with this g6 move. So I go to g6. He goes bishop e2. You can also play c4 immediately, but he plays that a little bit later. It's all good. I play bishop g7, both sides castle. And now he goes c4, kicking the knight. And the main move here is knight to b6. I think I will try playing it that way next time. But I was wondering, what's wrong with knight to f6? And I guess we'll see in the game part of the answer to that, at least. It seems that White gets a bigger than normal opening advantage after this knight f6 move, so probably next time I will try this knight b6. He just keeps developing, knight c3. I go b6. I need to find a way to develop this bishop. The bishop is not so comfortable here on f5. Although it will take White some time to chase it away. White can play moves like h6 and h3 rather, and g4 and kick the bishop. But that takes a few moves, so maybe it's playable. But I think this b6 move is a reasonable way to play. He goes knight e5 here, putting the knight on a good post. Bishop b7 and bishop f3. Interesting way to play. This knight on e5 defends the bishop, so if I trade, he's got a ready-made way to come back if he doesn't want to take back with the queen. Yeah, maybe taking with the queen is better even if I trade. But I don't want to trade. I want to keep the pieces on. Yeah, when he takes back with the queen, it actually looks at the rook in the corner. So I played the move c6. I could also have played queen to c8, just defending my bishop. That's an option here too. But I played c6, trying to keep the material on, keep the game complicated. He goes bishop g5. And I go h6, kicking the bishop. He drops back to f4. So all of this, White is doing fine here. He's keeping that edge. Then now I want to kind of drive away this knight, and I can't do it with the knight on b8. So I think this is where the weakness in my position starts to become evident. If you count the developing moves, White has all his pieces developed. He's even moved this piece twice and got it to a strong post. And I still have one piece I haven't developed, and I can't easily develop it because it's tied down defending this c6 pawn. So this shows one way to maintain your lead in development. You use your developed pieces to put pressure on your opponent and keep his pieces tied down defensively. So anyway, I'm looking forward. I'm trying to figure out a way to exchange off and relieve some of this pressure. So I bring the other knight to d7, and if I can exchange this guy off, that'll actually free up my knight. So these exchanges help me in two different ways. One is they I have sort of a cramped position, and so by getting rid of some pieces, it's easier to find homes for the remaining pieces. And then secondly, with the exchanges, I'm bringing my last undeveloped piece into the game, so that helps me as well. So right here he makes some mistakes. So this is the first mistake by white. He plays queen d2. And there's a little tactic that I can take advantage of after queen d2 that wins a pawn. So if you want to see if you can try and figure it out, this is a good chance. This is not the tactic actually I referred to in the description. There's another tactic coming up, which is a bigger one. This is just a little tactic winning a pawn. See if you can spot it. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. He did play queen d2. And I can win a pawn by just exchanging. I start by taking the knight. And then if you look at this, there's a kind of a pin here. If he takes with the bishop, I can just grab that bishop, and the pawn is pinned against the queen because the bishop is no longer defending the queen. So that wins a whole piece. So he can't take with the bishop. He has to take with the pawn. It's the only move here. Otherwise, he's just down a piece. And now I can trade queens. And when I trade queens, it drags his bishop back, and it's no longer defending the e-pawn. Now I could exchange immediately, but his bishop is attacking my h-pawn, so that would just be a trade. There's sort of dueling threats there. But I can play the move knight d7 here and just round up that pawn and come out a pawn ahead. So that tactic I did not spot. But I did not spot that tactic during the game, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Anyway, I noticed when he played queen d2, he was attacking my h6 pawn, and I defended it with king h7. So he exchanges here. Brings his rook to the center. That exchange helped me a little bit, and now you see the advantage is back in the typical opening advantage range. But I have to still play precisely. I need to play the move e5 here to keep it in that range. I played knight f6. Now he's back to having his big opening advantage. But he kind of dissolves things here with d5. So we're coming up to his second mistake here. I go ahead and trade, and then he brings a rook to the center. Oh no, it's my turn. I bring a rook to the center. I was thinking of pushing my e-pawn forward. So I was kind of preparing that. He played queen e2. I went queen d7. Just a little bit of maneuvering. I want to connect my rooks, maybe bring it to the d file. And here he pushes on with d6. And he may have had some kind of tactic in mind, I'm not sure, but this really doesn't work. He's just giving up a pawn. So this is really White's second mistake. After queen d2, the first one I didn't take advantage of, so he had kept the edge, but this gives up the edge, and now black is a little better. I grab this pawn, and he's not getting it back very easily. He could trade bishops. Maybe he thought the bishop would be loose after that trade or something like that, but yeah, he can trade bishops and get the pawn back immediately, but this really helped my game. And yeah, he could even play rook takes d6 here. That's kind of interesting. Rook takes d6, rook takes e2, trading queens. he moved his queen out of the way. That's pretty natural. Yeah, maybe that's what he missed, the fact that when I take back, I'm attacking his queen. And now it gives me time to push on with d5, and I'm holding on to this pawn for a little bit. So he tries taking it. Now this is an interesting, I think, instructive tactical sequence. I played this one right. I can't pin the knight immediately. You know, the idea when you see a setup like this is to try and pin that piece, because he can escape with check by taking my knight. So what I do is I exchange first. I take the knight off, bring another minor piece here. He can't take with the queen because I've got the bishop pointing at that square. And now I can pin it. And I thought I was just winning a piece here till he found the move bishop c4, which actually gets the bishop out of trouble and defends the queen, so I'm no longer threatening to win the queen here. But still, this sets up further tactics. I have a lot of pressure on the d file, and I move the queen out of the way. I just need to look for the most active square. And I can do that with tempo because I'm hitting his queen. So queen here. And now, if he takes my rook, I was a little bit worried about this. But at the end, yeah, he's got loose bishops here. These loose bishops are a problem. So, for example, if he were to take, I take, he takes, and then I can just grab a bishop. And so I've got a queen and a bishop for 2 rooks, and these bishops offset. So that's a big advantage to black. So he moves his queen out of the way. He goes queen to g3. But there are other problems in this position after queen to g3. So see if you can spot the tactic here. This is the one I missed during the game, and there's a really cool tactic right here after queen g3. So pause the video if you want some time to think about it. I'm giving the answer away now. He played queen g3, and what this does is this exposes some problems along the back rank. Now I can't take his rook. It looks like this rook is hanging, but I can't take it with my rook because my queen is hanging. But I can take it with my queen, and this is the cool tactic. He can't take back or he gets mated. These 2 rooks here are really dangerous, and in fact there's already a threat of just taking the rook and then bringing a rook back with a check and this rook guarding the escape square. I guess he could take with a bishop, so not entirely clear. But okay, so first of all, if he takes the queen, which is the only way to try and stay even in material, I come in here with this check, and there's only a single move to block it, and then I bring the other rook in, and I'm just winning here. He can try and defend for a little bit. He can bring the queen over to d3 to defend, but then that loses the queen, and then the rook comes back and wins the bishop anyway. So that's completely winning. Let's see, there was an even faster mate there. Rook takes f1 check. Let's follow this idea here. Rook takes f1 check, very forcing move, and he takes back, and then the bishop check. This is kind of a cool idea. You drive the king back. This rook is cutting off the escape, and in the end you mate with the rook. So that would be a nice finish to the game. Anyway, I didn't spot that. It's not so easy to see in a blitz game, but definitely something you should think about. That tactic of taking with the queen and exposing the back rank weaknesses. Pretty interesting. Okay, so I drop back with queen to f5, and now he trades rooks. And he played bishop to b3 here. And actually, there is one more tactic here. So it might be interesting for you to look for. First of all, there's an immediate threat of rook to d4, which forks those 2 bishops. This one is loose, and this one is only defended by the queen, and it's already attacked by my queen, so it's loose as well. So he's got 2 loose pieces. The rook comes up there and forks them. So as an example of that geometric condition, the 2 rooks on a line, the 2 bishops on a line that are loose, are subject to tactical assaults. So he played bishop b3 to get away from that. He could have, and then I grabbed the pawn. He could have saved the pawn with by playing pawn to b6, defend the bishop and save the pawn. But there's still a problem in that position, and there's also the same problem after bishop b3. So can you find the tactic here? Other than, obviously after bishop b3, this pawn is loose and I grabbed it. But there was a better tactic, and I should have played it. So see if you can spot the tactic after bishop b3. Okay, it starts, I'm giving the answer away now. It starts with the same move, rook to d4. Okay, he plays bishop b3. Rook to d4. I didn't play this, but it's just hitting this bishop here, which needs to move. There's no way to protect it. There's no piece that can protect it. So it goes somewhere. Say it goes here to attack a pawn. Then you have rook here, hitting the queen, and the rook and the bishop are coordinating on the g2 square. The only move here, well, the best move here is to play queen h3 and then give up the queen for the 2 pieces. Otherwise, the king gets mated. So queen takes, bishop takes, king takes. And now I've got a queen and bishop against rook and 2 bishops. And this is looks like it's just winning. I need to save this pawn here that he's attacking, but I have time for that. And the queen's a pretty powerful piece, and the open board shouldn't be too much resistance here. So yeah, just winning for black. Instead, I grabbed the pawn. So this is a good example of why piece play is what you should look for rather than pawn play. They finish games quicker. Get those pieces out and get them active. It also says something about this position. You know, when you look at it from a pawn structure point of view, the pawns are all very even. But if you look at piece activity, he's got this rook that's not doing anything on the back rank. And also he's got potential back rank problems because his king has no escape squares. So those are the real issues with white's position, and this rook d4 move is the way to exploit it. Anyway, I grabbed a pawn, and he played bishop e3. Let's go through the rest of the game kind of quickly. It goes on for quite a bit. I just grabbed the pawn and then retreated my bishop back. And you know, he had the idea of bringing his queen in and attacking some of my pieces, but I had a reasonable defensive move with queen d7, and so I just stay a pawn up through all of this. And it probably helped me a little bit that he traded rooks there, but it's just with these both bishops on, both pairs of bishops on, there's no bishop of opposite color ending. I just have to make sure that I don't allow a bishop of opposite color ending and keep the bishops of the same color on, and then I can just march that pawn through. This move here, I think bishop f7 was an inaccuracy. I was slowly building up my position and bringing my king over, and at the same time keep an eye on these pawns, so I didn't want to lose any. So I brought this bishop here to hold him so my king can come forward, and I can just push on with b5 in this position. When I play bishop to f7, I actually give up a little bit in the endgame because he can blockade that pawn. And let's see, right here, if he had played the move king d3 to blockade my king from coming in, this would have taken quite a bit of maneuvering to figure out how to advance that pawn. I think you know, I would still play for the win here, but it would have been a bit tricky. He made my life easier by moving his bishop out of the way with bishop a6. And I just come over here with the king. His bishop came to c8. I pushed the pawn forward, and he gave up at this point. So anyway, interesting game. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.